5 days before our wedding, she said her ex still loved her and walked away. 10 days later, she came back crying, but I told her, "You chose him, now live with it." I was 34 years old, and we had been together for almost 4 years. After everything we'd been through, the laughs, the late-night talks, the vacations, the quiet moments at home, I truly believed she was the one. We got engaged after 3 years of dating, and for that last year, we had poured every bit of ourselves into planning the wedding. The venue was booked. Invitations had already been sent out. Our families were excited. Her dress was hanging in our closet. My suit was ready. Even our dog had a tiny little tuxedo ready for the photos. Everything was coming together, and I thought nothing could go wrong. I believed we were solid. I believed we were unbreakable. But I was wrong. 5 days before our wedding, she sat across from me at our kitchen table. I still remember that evening so clearly. The light from the setting sun coming through the window, the way she looked at me like she had something heavy to say but didn't know how. "I need to talk to you," she said. I nodded, thinking it was just something small. Maybe wedding nerves, maybe a family argument, something about flowers or seating charts. But then she spoke again, and what she said made my heart stop. "My ex still loves me," she said quietly, like she was telling me something as casual as picking up groceries. "He just wants to see me once. For closure." I blinked, unsure if I had heard her right. I asked her to repeat it, and she did with that same calm voice. She told me her ex had reached out, that he still had feelings for her, and that she just needed to meet him for one last conversation. I asked her the first question that came to my mind. If he loved you so much, why did he leave you in the first place? She didn't answer. She just looked down at the table. I got up and left the apartment. I took a walk, hoping that maybe some fresh air would help clear my mind. I thought maybe she was confused. Maybe it was just cold feet. Maybe she'd come to her senses. But when I got back an hour later, she was sitting in the living room with red eyes, like she'd been crying. She didn't say a word. Instead, she sent me a text. "I don't think our marriage should happen." That was all she wrote.
No explanation.
No discussion. Just a statement. I stood there in silence, looking at her as she sat curled up on the couch. I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I just said, "It's your life. Do what you want." I walked into the bedroom, grabbed a small bag, packed a few things, and left that same night. I didn't sleep at all. I just kept replaying her words over and over in my mind. The calm way she said it, like our entire life together was something she could step away from without hesitation. We were just 5 days away. People had booked flights. Families had taken time off. We had spent months preparing for this day. And now, she was throwing it all away. For a man who had already broken her heart once. A man who had left her behind years ago. The next morning, I started calling vendors, canceling what I could. Some things could be refunded. Others couldn't. All in all, I had spent nearly $20,000. Just gone. My phone buzzed all day. Friends asking what happened. Her sister sent me a text that just said, "WTF." But from her, nothing. No message.
No apology. No explanation.
I sat in that silence, trying to make sense of everything. I still loved her, as foolish as that sounds. But something in me shut down completely. The trust was gone. The foundation had cracked. I didn't check her social media. I didn't ask around. I just let it all fall away. I wasn't even sure if I was more hurt or angry. Maybe it was just emptiness. Because when someone can walk away that easily, you start to wonder if they ever truly meant what they said. During that week, I handled everything alone. The hotel gave a partial refund. The caterer didn't. The photographer kept the deposit. I tallied it all. Close to $20,000 wasted. I sent her a message. "Hey, since this was a joint wedding and you called it off, I think it's fair to split the non-refundable costs. Comes out to about $10,000 each. Let me know how you want to handle it." She replied with just 4 words. "You're so flirting cheap." I read that text 3 times, just to make sure I was seeing it right. Like she was offended I even asked. I replied, "Yeah, maybe I am cheap. So cheap that I'm only asking for half of what you threw away. She never responded again. And I didn't reach out. I took the hit. I added it to my list of lessons. And I kept moving. Exactly 10 days after she walked out of my life, I opened the door to my apartment one evening, expecting a package or a neighbor, but instead, it was her. She was standing there in the hoodie she used to steal from my closet, the one she always wore when we watched movies on the couch. Her eyes were puffy and red, her face tired, her makeup smudged like she hadn't slept in days. Before I could even say a word, she spoke. "I made a mistake," she said, voice shaking like her whole body was about to collapse. "He used me. He said all the right things, and as soon as I told him I left you, he blocked me. I don't know what I was thinking. I messed up. Please, can we talk?" I stood there in silence, staring at her. My mind was torn between 1,000 emotions. One part of me wanted to scream, to ask her how she could do this to me. Another part felt nothing at all. I stepped aside, letting her in, not because I wanted her back, but because I didn't want the neighbors hearing her crying and begging on the doorstep. She walked in slowly and sat down on the couch like she had never left. I stayed standing. She kept talking, saying the same things in different ways. She looked up at me finally, tears in her eyes, and said softly, "I want to come back. I want us." And I just stood there, looking at her. I didn't say anything right away. I let the silence fill the room. I thought about all the nights I had spent replaying everything in my head, the money lost, the questions unanswered, the life she left behind like it meant nothing. And then I said the only words that felt right. "Go to hell." She froze. Her eyes went wide like she couldn't believe what she heard. "Wait, what?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. But I didn't flinch. I didn't hesitate. "You don't get to come back just because it didn't work out with him. I wasn't your backup plan. You made your choice. Now live with it." She stood up slowly, looking at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I wasn't the same man she had left behind 10 days ago. She muttered something like, "I knew you'd say that." And then she walked out. I didn't stop her. I didn't follow her. I just watched the door close behind her. And that was that. At least I thought it was. But later that night, something even more surreal happened. My phone rang around 10 p.m., a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. A few minutes later, it rang again. This time I answered. "Hello," I said. The voice on the other end was shaky but familiar. "Hi, this is Angela," she said, her mother. I didn't respond right away. I just waited. She let out a long breath and continued. "I know you're upset. I know she made a mistake. But please, she's not a bad girl. She's hurting. She's crying nonstop. She knows she messed up, but deep down she's a good woman. She'll take care of you." I actually laughed. Not to be rude, it just came out. The kind of laugh you let out when something is so ridiculous you don't even know how to react. "Angela," I said calmly. With all due respect, she didn't just make a mistake. There was silence on her end. Then she spoke again, this time softer. "She regrets it. People do stupid things when they're confused. You two were so good together. I saw how happy you made her." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Yeah." Until she thought someone else might make her happier. She started crying quietly on the other end, and I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't feel guilty either. I wasn't rude. I didn't yell. I just said, "I'm sorry, but there's no coming back from this." Then I hung up. After that call, I blocked the number. I changed my own number a week later. I told my friends to keep her away from me. I didn't want updates. I didn't want drama. I just wanted to move on. Some of my friends were shocked that I didn't give her another chance. A few said I should have played the long game, made her work for it, maybe even let her suffer a bit. But that's not me. If you don't want me at my best, don't come crawling back to me at your worst. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I just don't want her anywhere near my life ever again. A few months later, I heard from a mutual friend that she had moved out of state. I didn't ask where. I didn't want to know. I never looked her up. I never checked her social media, and I didn't let anyone mention her name around me. People say karma doesn't exist, but I think sometimes karma isn't a bad thing happening to someone. Sometimes karma is just a man finally standing up for himself and saying no, looking back. I realized I had come so close to marrying someone who didn't truly value me. Maybe she did once. Maybe she still does. But she valued her curiosity more than our commitment. And that was enough for me to walk away forever. I'm still healing. I haven't dated seriously since. But I'm learning to trust myself again. To believe that I deserve better. And if she ever wonders what could have been, that's not my burden anymore. Thanks for reading till the end. If this story hit you somewhere deep, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.